From wherever you are watching us from, right here in Kenya and beyond, this is the great KBC, and you're just in time for KBC Lunchtime News. Many thanks indeed for joining us. My name is Njue. Lucy Maura is my colleague on the sign language interpretation. Time for a quick look at the headlines shaping up the news conversation in the country. Of course, we're keeping tabs with the two police officers who have been arraigned at the Milimani law courts. We will be looking much more. In our interactive segment, I'm about to inform you that we'll be having Jacqueline Francis, who is the Executive Director, Global Warming Mitigation Project, all the way from Colorado in the United States. We'll be looking at global warming solutions. Let's take a look at the local news shaping up the news conversation in the country. We begin in Makueni County, where Makueni County Governor is urging the government to take immediate action to end rising cases of extrajudicial, a serious threat to the country's democracy. The recent killings of teacher Albert Ojwang and Boniface Mwangi Kariuki as alarming examples of disregard to human rights. The county board says those found culpable in the recent events must be held accountable.
The death of blogger Albert Ojwang and shooting of Boniface Mwangi Kariuki have sparked outrage, with leaders calling for an end to police brutality and extrajudicial killings. Governor Mutula Kilonzo events as a serious.
What is this that the security operators were so afraid of that they could commit such a heinous crime?
This even as the county boss push for accountability from any persons found culpable.
Those people must be charged in court. That is the only way that what appears to be absolute upset of Kenyans about the handling of.
Similar calls were made by leaders drawn from Murang'a County, who jointly condemned the shooting of the mask vendor, asking,
you must respect the lives of Kenyans. And the work of government is to protect the lives of Kenyans. It is not to harm Kenyans.
Huyo askari kwanza achukuliwe hatua kali. Kwa sababu kama angekuwa confronted, hata sisi wanadamu tungeelewa. Lakini vile alipiga huyu kijana risasi, ilikuwa tu kimakusudi.
And we want to request the IG of police hakikishe kwamba huyo kijana, huyo askari amepelekwa kotini na amepata mashtaka yake.
The leaders spoke at Kiruri grounds during an empowerment program. Isofar reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, a police constable police intercept and verification unit was shot dead during a routine motorcycle inspection that turned violent. According to reports, the deceased Constable Bernard Kome and his colleagues had stopped a motorcycle that lacked the unique registration number for genuine border operators in Thika town. However, the matter turned tragic after the rider refused to comply with police orders and shot the officer.
A routine motorcycle inspection turned deadly in Thika, Kiambu County on Wednesday evening.
Huyo kaskari ameshutiwa, alikuwa anataka kusoma kodi ya pikipiki. Venye huyo jamaa mwenye amemshuti huyo mwizi ni kama ameona pikipiki yake ina koda katense.
Sasa kitabu wafike pale, huyu jamaa amewezwa kidogo, sasa akalazwa chini. Sasa naye jamaa akaamuka, akatoa buduki ili sasa akashuti askari moja.
After the border rider drew a gun and shot at one of the officers, the other law enforcers are said to have engaged in a shootout with the suspect, but he managed to flee the scene. In this amateur video, the assailant is seen commandeering a motorcycle while wielding the weapon before speeding off and at some point dropping it.
Na akatusikisha kwa pikipiki, akatuambia tushuke, tukashuka, akatuonyesha bunduki hapo, akapotea na pikipiki. Kibati nikapiga wenzangu wakaifuata, na yeye vile alikibiza kuna mahali enda akaiacha kwa hii estate ya section 9, na sijaipata ikiwa imeharibiwa mahali popote.
Authorities have launched a manhunt for the rider, with Thika DCIO Jacinta Mbeka saying a comprehensive statement will be released once preliminary investigations are complete. Residents are calling for heightened security measures in the area, decrying a rise in criminal activities. Reporting for Lunchtime News.
In other news, First Lady Rachel Ruto participated in the 7th edition of the Mark Foundation First Ladies Initiative Summit held in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. The summit focused on key development pillars including healthcare systems, enhancing access to education and advancing women's empowerment across Africa and Asia. The summit, convened by the Mark Foundation, brought together 14 First Ladies from Africa, Asia, Mark Foundation beneficiaries, development partners, and members of the media. The forum serves as a platform for First Ladies to discuss and collaborate on strategies to improve access to quality health care and promote girls' education in their respective countries.
Provided 244 scholarships for our Kenyan doctors, some of whom are here with us today. This is an extraordinary milestone that will leave a lasting impact on the quality and accessibility of healthcare across our nation. High-performing Kenyan schoolgirls by offering from secondary school until the age. I believe every girl in Kenya and across Africa deserves the opportunity to pursue her dreams. 50% of these scholarships are provided to female healthcare workers, which is a great milestone of women empowerment.
And back home, more than 30 families displaced by recent ethnic clashes in Matigari village in Laikipia County have been urged to return home. Local administrators, led by Laikipia County Commissioner Onesmus Kiada, said peace has been restored following deadly clashes between the Samburu and Turkana communities. The violence erupted after a dispute that led to the death of 2 people and destruction of property. The government has donated relief food, mattresses and iron sheets to affected families as part of resettlement efforts.
Siku ya pamoja na tumekubaliana kwamba kwanza watoto wote wale walikuwa wamekimbia, wametoroka na wazazi wao warudi shule, na serikali itachukua jukumu ya kuhakikisha kwamba tunawapatia lishe waweze kuishi katika shule. Ya pili, tumekubaliana kwamba tutaweka usalama kuanzia saa hii shule itakuwa na askari ya kutosha,
na tunakubaliana, tunaenda mbele tukikubaliana, tutarudisha amani na watu wataishi kwa njia ambaye inafaa.
Na tunajaribu sana kulingana na vile tumezungumza leo kama jamii ya Laikipia. Sisi tungependa kuishi kama jamii moja.
Youth in Malindi, Kilifi County have adopted innovation by transforming plastic waste into a source of income through recycling, generating employment opportunities and promoting a circular economy. Over 20 youth from Mondo Solidare, MSO, are partnering with Italian designers to craft handbags, jackets and shoes from plastic waste, old jeans and tires. The products are exported income and skills to young people. The project is helping Malindi stay clean while offering jobs and embracing a circular economy.
Since we started the cleanup and this partnership, we've seen about now 5 recycling companies coming. The companies are buying products from plastic to metal to bones that are being now upcycled into other products. Also, you know, now people realize there's cash in trash. We've also having a bit of challenges because now you find also more theft is coming onto the products because we are not taking care of the products.
Tangu nijiunge kwa hii group imenisaidia kwa sababu before nijiunge nilikuwa nategemea wazazi, lakini kwa sasa najitegemea mwenyewe na pia wazazi wangu wananitegemea sana. Ndugu zangu, familia yetu kwa ujumla inanitegemea pia.
Next story we cross over where on is that the 2 police officers who were caught on camera assaulting and one of them actually shooting a mask vendor who we now know as Boniface Karaoke have been arraigned at the Milimani locus. Just first of all, what they have been charged with.
So much studio. We are coming to you live from Milimani Law Court, whereby you understand the case whereby the two police officers who were captured live on camera on Tuesday during the demonstrations of Albert Ochieng's death have been brought to court today at Milimani High Court. The Director of Public Prosecution Office and the IPOA team were seeking for 21 days to hold the two police officers who are Constable Masinde Baraza and Constable Kiprono. However, this is one of the shortest rulings that I have ever witnessed since I began reporting on court matters, whereby both parties, the defense team and the defense team and the prosecution team came to a consent, and both seek for 15 days. And you know, when both parties have agreed on an agreement, there is no way the court can go against the agreement. So the senior principal magistrate Ben Makehubi has adopted the consent by the two parties, and the two police officers now will be detained for 15 days at Capitol Hill Police Station. I'll be following up more details on the update our viewers in a subsequent bulletin. Back to you, studio, for more.
Thank you. That was Ruth Wambo giving us an update in regards to the two police officers who have been arraigned. They have not been charged after the investigators asked for 21 days, which were reduced to about 15 days. It's called a miscellaneous criminal. The investigating body can wrap up its investigations. We're going to be coming up with a more loaded report in regards to that in our subsequent bulletin. But elsewhere, call for urgent infrastructural expansion Rural County Referral Hospital to accommodate the rising number of patients it receives from Laikipia and 7 neighboring counties. During an three-member committee led by Committee Vice Chairperson Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar emphasized the hospital's critical role in providing healthcare to a wide catchment area stretching beyond Laikipia and Nyandarua, Baringo, Samburu, Nakuru, Isiolo, Meru, and Nyeri County. She called for a stronger partnership between the national and county governments to prioritize investment in the hospital's infrastructure, equipment, and workforce.
Kwanza wagonjwa ni wengi, vyumba ni vidogo, na inaonekana kuna watu wengi sana wanakuja hapa. So vile Mheshimiwa Chair amesema, sisi tumekuja kuchukua ujumbe na Senate, kwa sababu kamati yetu ni kamati ya afya ya Senate, ambako tunazungumzia na tutajadiliana ni lipi ambalo litafanyika. Wafanyikazi tumeona hali iko safi kidogo kidogo.
Ile tungeomba pia serikali na tungeomba hospitali wapatie wamama wale wako na watoto wagonjwa waiver, kwa sababu tumepata wamama wale wako na watoto wamekaa na wanadai 30,000, 35,000, 12,000 na wamekaa hapo, wamekuwa detained, hawawezi kutoka mpaka walipe.
In other news, the Human Rights Agenda, Huria, has released 2 reports revealing widespread human rights violation in Kwale County, touching on women land inheritance rights and the illegal seizure of small fishing ports. The reports revealed that 90% of Kwale's small fishing ports are not gazetted deeds, making them vulnerable to land grabbing and threatening local livelihoods. The report also highlighted how cultural practices and lack of documentation continue to deny women despite existing legal protections. The organization is now urging the government agencies to fast-track titling of fishing ports and enhance reforms to uphold women land rights.
Social exclusion imemanifest in 2 ways, kwamba wamama bado wako pale pale. wako katika sehemu ambao wanaishi katika hali ya unyanyapaa, bado wako kule nyuma, ambapo kuna haja kwamba tuweze kuwasukuma wamama pia wao waweze kuishi maisha kama binadamu wengine, waweze kumiliki ardhi kama binadamu wengine.
Kina mama kwa miaka mingi tumewacha nyuma, hatujui haki zetu, hatujui tufuatilie vipi. Lakini kufikia sasa kila mama naona ameelimika, anaweza kufuatilia, ajue atapata vipi shamba lake ama ardhi yake ama wapi atapata hati miliki.
Ripoti imetuambia kuna landing site 91 na ni kweli, na ni kama ni moja tu peke yake ndio iko pata title. Kuna kazi kubwa ya kufanya.
From the sandy beaches of Kwale County, we're back in Nairobi, and for our next story, we are now crossing over Policing Oversight Authority, that is IPOA, in regards to Eliud Lagat, the DIG, or the Deputy Inspector General of Police, who was summoned by IPOA in regards to and school teacher Albert Ojwang, and he's supposed to be recording his statement, but Giverson Maina is now joining us to give us the latest from IPOA. Over to you, Giverson.
As you said, live from Policing Oversight at Deputy Eliud Lagat is expected, or is rather appearing before the IPOA to record statement and shed light on what he knows or rather concerning the death of blogger and teacher Albert Ojwang. But we've been camping here for quite some time. We came here at about 10 a.m. and we were maybe from the vehicle and head to the office. And of course, we've been here, we've been to the IPOA offices right inside, but we've not seen him in person. We've not seen any signs of him here in person, but according to the sources we've spoken to, of course, who are at the gate, he has managed to beat the police, or rather evade the cameras, and managed to use an entry into the building where the cameras or members of the press were not there. And so we were there, and of course running up and down the stairs and even the lift, but we were not able to trace him because of course there are several entries into these particular offices, housing the offices of the IPOA. But we believe he's right there because we've spoken to several sources saying they have seen his vehicle. Of course, they believe he went through the underground, or rather where the parking is, the parking lot. And of course, he managed to take a lift to that floor offices where we believe he's currently recording the statement and shedding light over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. But we are keeping here just to make sure that we also beat him to his game and maybe manage to get a picture or two of him maybe getting out or coming out of the IPOA offices, just to ensure, or rather to confirm that indeed he's right here in the offices of the IPOA. And this coming, of course, a day after IPOA chairperson One Isaac Hassan yesterday said that the IPOA is going to make sure that they have investigated this matter of the death of Albert Ojwang to conclusivity, saying that there are no any big fish, or there are no sacred cows. Of course, saying that rather yesterday saying they had summoned the DIG, one Eliud Lagat, to appear before the authority. And so far, that is what is happening here. Troy, we make sure that we also try our best. If he's trying to evade the cameras, we're also trying to keep in all entries and to see if we will have our eyes on him to confirm that indeed he was actually here. Troy.
Thank you, Giverson. Keep your eyes on the prize in regards to that IPOA there, grilling Deputy Inspector General of Police in regards to the death of Albert Ojwang, and as he has mentioned, is indeed he is at the IPOA headquarters in Upper Hill, and we are keenly and eagerly waiting to know exactly what has transpired there and what is the way forward. In other news, the government says it is committed to the full digitization of the pharmaceutical ecosystem to improve efficiency and weed out malpractice. Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, while addressing the 45th Annual Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya Scientific Conference in Mombasa, said active surveillance in the pharmaceutical sector will help create a modern, efficient and independent regulatory environment that can keep up with the evolving science and practice.
where manipulations and for theft. In this regard, I really want to request your membership to work with us as we embark on the full digitization of the healthcare, including the integration of community pharmacists into the digital superhighway.
If you look at the number of expiries or the quantities of expired medicines, and these are the very essential medicines that are required. A study done by the ministry in 2022-2023, our expiry rate of medicines is 32% against a global best practice of 3 to 5%. That is a hoping cost of almost 9.5 billion. Then we require another 600 million to be able to destroy those medicines. We cannot live like that, especially in these times. I want to plead with you to be able to assist us so that we can be able to plug that hole so that these resources can go to be able to serve the very deserving Kenyans.
Moving on, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, is probing several politicians for hate speech cases across the country. NCIC Commissioner Abdulaziz Ali Farah warned politicians against hate speech and urged them to instead respect diversity among citizens. He was speaking at Madare Vocational Training Center, Undugu Hall in Nairobi County during celebrations to mark the International Day for Countering Hate Speech.
One nation, one destiny. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission, NCIC, led the country in marking the International Day for Countering Hate Speech, with this year's theme being enhanced legal and illegal measures against hate speech. At a multi-stakeholders forum held in Nairobi, NCIC Commissioner Abdulaziz Ali Farah said the commission is currently probing several politicians for hate speech.
But on hate speech, we have so many people on the radar. There are many in this country. And if NCIC was given the powers to prosecute and rule on their cases like the judiciary, I think today our cells will have been full. We will not have space in our cells.
Farah instead urged politicians to respect diversity among citizens.
It's a very long list of people who are on our radar, some who have been summoned, some who are in court, some who have refused to come but are awaiting arrest. Because if you don't respect the summon of NCIC, you will be arrested in a very rough way.
Sentiments echoed by other speakers.
If they come to the ground and they spread hateful message, they will be arrested.
Any incitement using youth, especially political leaders, you stand strong and still say no.
Commissioner Farah also called for the strengthening of laws on hate speech to resonate with the evolving digital and political landscape. The International Day for Countering Hate Speech is observed annually on June 18th, following a resolution that was passed by United Nations General Assembly in July 2021.
Elsewhere, the Ministry of Mining, in partnership with Kakamega County Government and the United Nations Development Programme, has established a training centre for small-scale gold miners in Rosterman, which will promote mercury-free gold processing methods. Speaking during the handover of the site, Kakamega County Environment Executive Member Penina Mukabane said the initiative aims to empower local miners with safer, sustainable practices which are safe and environmentally friendly. Kakamega County Mining Officer Job Onsomu urged miners to strengthen their cooperative societies to enhance access to government support.
Mradi ni wenu, umeletwa na serikali na UNDP, lakini sasa wakati mradi unamalizika ni nyinyi ndio mtafaidika, nyinyi ndio beneficiaries. Kwa hivyo tunaomba maximum support and cooperation wakati mradi unaendelea, waweze kuungana na contractor, watunze mali ya contractor, na pia contractor tunamsii zile kazi ndogo ndogo ambazo wananchi wa hapa karibu wanaweza kufanya, kazi ya mkono wapatie wananchi wa hapa. Ile kazi ambayo inahitaji skills ambazo hazipatikani hapa ndio watoe mbali.
Hizi cooperative ambazo ziko huku Rosterman zitaweza kufaidi na huu mradi ambao utakuwa ni mahali ambapo watakuwa wanafundishwa mbinu badala za kupata ile gold kutoka kwa mchanga ili waache kutumia yale madini ya mercury ambayo yana madhara katika afya yetu.
Very well, at about 25 minutes past the top of the hour, my director Jackie informs me that we need to take a quick break. But when we come back, I will also be hosting another Jackie all the way from the United States. She is the executive director of the Global Warming Mitigation Project. I'll be telling you all about environmental conservation and also how you can win money by just, your environmental conservation efforts. That and much more after this break.
Looking to advertise on KBC? KBC announcement services are now available on eCitizen. Visit kbc.ecitizen.go.ke and fill out the online application form. It's simple. 1. Complete the form. 2. Upload required documents. 3. Receive a quotation based on word count. And 4. Get notified via SMS when your announcement is ready. Please note, clearly indicate the type of announcement, service station, and all relevant details. 2. All applications must be made online only. Manual submissions will not be accepted. And 3. Announcements will air after news bulletins. For assistance, reach us on email ecitizen@kbc.co.ke or use our social media handles, Facebook, your Facebook account, and X at your X account. Or you can call us on 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124. KBC announcements. Simple, fast, and digital.
Tupo katika makao makuu ya burudani, makao makuu ya vipaji, Rungire. Rungira.
Mshikamano nchini ndio nguzo ya ufanisi.
Katiba kata wa kata ya Mkata alikataa katakata kukata mti katika kata ya Mkata.
Moyo uliobondeka.
Je, ajira ni lazima baada ya chuo kikuu?
Elimu ya chuo kikuu huandaa wanafunzi kwa soko la ajira na huongeza uwezekano wa kupata kazi zenye kadhi na malipo mazuri.
Utoaji wa rushwa na upendeleo imekidhi mazingira ya soko la ajira.
Sauti cha ina sifa zipi?
Ni sauti siguna.
Sauti siguna. Tunga sentensi kwa kuzingatia nomino ya jamii. Wingu. Wingu la?
Mzige.
Tena?
Mzige.
Makofi wapigie.
The men and women in boats. They are commanded to defend and protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Republic of Kenya. Their bravery knows no limits.
Make a man go through the wall without breaking the wall. Laziness, it is not in our vocabulary.
But what are their stories, their tales? Military Tales, every Saturday at 9 p.m. with Njue.
Welcome back, and many thanks indeed for keeping it Channel 1. Moving on, in an effort to create job opportunities amid the economic challenges experienced globally in the recent years, technology stakeholders have introduced initiatives to empower youth through online workshops. Power Learn Project Executive Director Mumbi Ndungu says the youth who participate in such workshops gain valuable knowledge and are now applying their skills to positively impact their communities, particularly in addressing challenges within the informal and electronic sector.
We are seeing most of them as innovators. They've been able to build solutions for their local communities, but solutions that can be consumed globally. And I think the next frontier is looking at how we support and scale this opportunity for many young people across the country.
As a National Youth Council, our mandate is in amplifying youth voices. And one of the things we hear most from young people is that unemployment is plaguing us. And as a young person myself, I know firsthand the struggle of securing a job and securing opportunity and even setting up enterprises.
Instead of looking for jobs, let us try to create those jobs in our country. If everyone is going to have that mindset shift, then I'm 100% sure that we are going to have the solution to the problem of unemployment.
From youth empowerment to women empowerment, where over 700 rural women in West Pokot County were joined by Forbes 50 over 50 honorees to celebrate the transformative impact of the Global Give Back Circle women-led organization. The organization supports marginalized young women, some of whom were rescued from female genital mutilation and early marriages. The initiative offers them a safe place, technical skills to set them on a path to dignified and fulfilling work and financial empowerment through the HER Lab program. The event marked a major milestone in the journey of hundreds of women who have rebuilt their lives through training, mentorship, and entrepreneurship supported by the program.
It's not been easy to have all this in place because there are tools and equipments which need to be put in place, and we are grateful that Mastercard Foundation and Global Give Back Circle came in to support us.
Very well, time to make sense of shillings and cents in business. Common Market and Eastern and Southern Africa COMESA member states are harmonizing their phytosanitary standards as part of efforts to halve the number of non-tariff barriers. COMESA Chief Executive Officer John Mukuka says elimination of non-tariff barriers would help boost intra-block trade.
As much as the farmers can increase their agricultural productivity, the NTB becomes a big problem. And horticultural products, you know, they are living entities. And any delay that is going to be caused because of non-tariff barriers or SPS issues needs to be addressed. And that's why I was trying to say that it's very, very critical, as quickly as possible, that we are having this meeting to look at them and then quickly do the harmonization. To harmonize these NTBs within the next 6 to 1 year, so that from there now we move on. NTBs, you know, we're looking at harmonization of the planting materials, what type of planting materials are required. We're also looking at what type of pests and diseases needs to be eliminated.
Now, SACCO members should step up savings to reduce the need of their cooperatives to opt for expensive credit to finance its programs. Harambee DT SACCO Chief Executive Officer Dr. George Ochiri says reliance on external financiers could be avoided if SACCO members step up their monthly savings and their share capital. Speaking during the 6th edition of the SACCO's annual delegate training in Mombasa, Dr. Ochiri challenged SACCOs to aggressively target the youth to join cooperatives to help grow the movement.
In terms of the circle and where it is, we are quite happy to announce we are at 38.9 billion in terms of total assets, and our target in terms of revenue for the year 2025, we want to close the year at 7.2 billion.
For the youth, we also want to embrace you into the cooperative movement, reach out, save, and we are urging cooperatives to design products that suits the youth. The youth do not want to be told to wait for 3 months to get a loan. I know they want loans on arrival. And that is why I'm telling the youth that these cooperatives have now even designed Karibu loans. When you come, you'll be given a loan, but part of that loan will go towards the savings, because we also want them to inculcate the culture of savings into the cooperative movement.
Now, Kenya is keen on allowing more international airlines to launch flights into the country or increase their frequencies to grow tourist numbers. Dr. Rose Anyona, Deputy Director of the Europe and Commonwealth Directorate at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs, says increased air connectivity coupled with operationalization of the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union and the UK is key to boost tourism-related business.
Kenya attracted 680,373 tourists from Europe in 2024, with the United Kingdom, Italy and Germany ranking as the top markets.
Germany is the third largest tourism market in the world, with millions and millions of people traveling every year. And the share Kenya has so far is quite low, with about 75,000 tourists from Germany. So there's a big potential of increasing it and double the number very easily, with having a better branding, maybe also looking at the cost side. Money for value is an issue for many people.
Kenya targets to grow the tourist arrivals by leveraging enhanced air connectivity by allowing more airlines to fly in from Europe, as well as diversify the tourist product offering to include wellness and luxury travel.
Well, personally, I've been living in Africa for the last 11 years. I've been posted in other countries. I've been traveling around, and I think this is the most welcoming country. And there's the best mix in terms of cultural heritage, but also landscape and a combination of mountains, and beautiful national parks, beautiful seaside and beaches, and this is something incomparable. I have seen nothing like this in other sub-Saharan countries.
European Union officials have welcomed the introduction of the electronic travel authorization system in Kenya, noting that it had made the country more accessible and competitive than other tourist destinations.
Has recently has signed an economic partnership agreement with the European Union, the United Kingdom, and all this provide duty-free access to EU and UK markets for promoting trade, investment and employment creation. We have also entered into other trade arrangements with other partners in Europe, including joint trade commissions, joint trade and economic committees, to develop and strengthen business-to-business ties with Kenya.
Regina Manyara reporting for Lunchtime News.
Welcome back, and now we are on our interactive segment. As I had mentioned earlier, we will be hosting Jacqueline Francis, Executive Director of the Global Warming Mitigation Project, or for the purposes of this interview, GWMP, all the way from Colorado in the United States. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Very quickly, because of the interest of time, tell us what you do at GMWP in regards to matters of global warming, and why are you here in Kenya?
Okay, so we focus on greenhouse gases that are emitted from, mostly human caused sources. And we identify programs and projects internationally that are working to either reduce, remove, or replace these greenhouse gases, often from fossil fuels, agriculture, sometimes nature-based or high-tech areas. And we award a prize for a certain number of winners every year that are showing excellence in this space. We have an internship for youth, and we have one of the best vetted databases in the world for climate solutions.
And I've noticed even the former Vice President of America was here in regards to all these matters of global warming. From your perspective, what is the most pressing aspect of global warming that is widely misunderstood, or is not, or countries are not putting efforts that are needed?
You know, there are two very important things, and they're related. One is that people don't understand it as much as they should, and they don't understand that there are solutions all over the world that they could be incorporating into their daily lives, or investing in, or really kind of changing a little bit of their behavior in order to kind of activate the movement in this space. And the other one are people need to actually prioritize this in how they vote and how they spend their money. So the way money needs to flow. And what this is about an actual systematic change, going away from the fuels we burn now and the way we do industrial practices and the way we use our land and our agriculture just needs to shift in order for us to stop increasing the heat trapping gases in our air so that we have more of a natural carbon balance in our system.
And your organization is known to focus on scalable solutions. Can you highlight maybe one or two that you're working on, and especially when it comes to touching on Kenya?
Yeah, we have probably over 150 organizations in Kenya that have actually applied for our prize. And several of them have won the prize, including two just this year, which I announced the day before yesterday. And one of them is Octavia Carbon, and they're one of the, they are the first organization in the emerging nations of what we call the Global South that are doing direct air capture using hydropower. And they're based, I believe, just south of Kenya. And they're taking air captured carbon and turning it into materials, including some like green hydrogen fuels. So it's taking carbon out of the atmosphere and putting it to use in other ways. So that's called like carbon capture and utilization. And there's also another winner that is doing electric vehicles like scooters and three-wheel vehicles in order to actually get off the petrol kinds of fuels. You need more of an infrastructure for the electric vehicles and more power to come from renewable sources, but these are scalable solutions that we actually know how to do.
And Global Warming Mitigation Project is one of the few institutions that have had them rewarding people for their conservation efforts. Why did you come up with this idea?
Prizes motivate people in such an amazing way. I mean, we've given out the prize, which is $50,000 to each winner. And so over the years, accumulatively, which it started at 25, now it's 50 for each winner, we've given out $2.5 million. That's turned into $2.77 billion in add-on funding that the winners have received from other sources after winning our prize. So it's an incredible launching pad. It's a leverage tool, and it really works. The whole system of motivating people, awarding people for the good things that they're doing, and then spreading that message is very inspiring.
And for the young ladies and the young men who are watching right now, how can they participate in this? $50,000 when it's around what? It's more than, I think, if my math serves me right, is millions of Kenya shillings.
Yeah. It's our application for this prize, this particular prize, opens November 1st, and it's called the Keeling Curve Prize. We're also in the process of creating a methane prize, which has to do with a different greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. We're also working on that, and that affects waste, agriculture, food systems, and there are a lot of projects in this part of the world that could really benefit from that kind of funding. So keep an eye out for the methane prize. And they can apply for the prize. The application's not too difficult, which they can get to on our website. And then there's also the internship program that we have, which is about career building and about career capacity. So that's an international virtual program that we offer, and it is a way to get a pathway into jobs that are focusing on the idea of decarbonizing our planet.
How do you select winners?
We have a team of 12 expert analysts that are throughout the world. It's actually one of the strongest, robust vetting processes of this type. And then those analysts take the applications that we we take 500 applications. We cap it at 500. They take those down to the top 20 finalists, which I announced in April. And then we have a team of about 10 judges that are also from around the world. They come from different areas of expertise. They can be sustainability directors of big corporations like Amazon, for instance. And they pick the 10 winners independently, and that's how we get to the top 10.
Okay. Your organizations, or many climate discussions focus on the issues that are around, or the problems, but your organization focuses on solutions.
Yes.
Why this shift?
Because I think people get really bogged down in the bad news. I mean, we talk about bad news all the time, and we are moving into a very difficult, divisive time in history. And we are trying to let people know that there are so many opportunities, and there's so much progress. And we'd like to see people all over the world kind of advance in a way that takes this into account, that there are really big opportunities in the climate space, in moving on to clean tech, clean innovation, and also in a way to connect to our world so that they can preserve the beautiful natural world as it is too. I mean, Kenya is very well known for the animals that live here. And this is about protecting that world as well as the ocean and, and all the human beings and life systems that this world supports.
Final words in 10 seconds. Your final words in regards to the global warming mitigation project and the future that holds for Africa.
Well, it feels to me like, Kenya is an emerging market in this space and a really incredible leader in Africa. And we are seeing so much innovation and so much encouragement for the kind of work that we're doing coming out of Kenya. And it would be really wonderful to see that leadership just grow throughout the entire continent, and for people to realize that they can move beyond this fossil fuel infrastructure that's been built into something that's actually much better for the entire planet.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, out of time, but thank you so much, Jacqueline Francis, the Executive Director and founder of Global Warming Mitigation Project. And as you've heard, and especially for the young men and women in the country, is that your conservation efforts could win you as much as $50,000 US. And Kenya being an emerging market, that is something to be proud of. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and for your insight as well. We're now shifting gears to matters sports, where the National Olympic Committee of Kenya elections have been called off again following a court order. The eagerly awaited elections, which were scheduled to take place today, will now wait the ruling of the injunction filed at the Eldoret High Court on the 23rd of June. This is the second time NOC elections have aborted. They were postponed on the 24th of April this year after 4 affiliate federations failed to agree on who should vote, with the matter ending up in the Sports Dispute Tribunal before another High Court ruling which allowed the elections to proceed. Our reporter Bernard Okumu is following up on that story and will give us a detailed account in our subsequent bulletin, but there's something for now.
Disputes were rendered by one member alone, that is Honorable Alan Mola, despite the weighty and far-reaching implications involved. These include the case of triathlon and handball federations, the case of 14 federations, the case of squash Kenya versus Kenya Squash Rackets Association. All were determined without a panel of at least 2 members, raising serious questions about impartiality and quorum.
The High Court, which had then put an order we do not proceed, lifted the orders, and that gave us room to be able to proceed. Unfortunately, just when we were about to schedule another date, we lost our colleague, the late Mr. Otula. And so we agreed as an executive to suspend the time or to extend the time so that we could complete the various arrangements and then proceed with the election.
The national soccer team, Harambee Starlets, are gearing up to face South Sudan today at 4 p.m. in the 3rd Sekafa Senior Women's Championship match at the Azam Sports Complex in Tanzania. Morale was high at their training camp as they strategized on how to leapfrog Tanzania at the top of the table. Midfielder Diana Washera and forward Martha Amunyolet expressed optimism of securing another win against the Bright Stars of Sudan, who are still winless from 2 matches. Harambee Starlets beat Burundi 3-0 in their opening match before they hammered Uganda 4 in their second match. The team is eyeing a return to glory after having lifted the championship title back in the year 2019.
Lazima nikuwe top scorer.
Eco Spiders football team has set their eyes on finishing top of the FKF Meru County League table after getting a shot in the arm through the Sport Pesa Tujiamini initiative. The Tujiamini team visited the club in Igembe, having competed in last year's Tujiamini Cheza Dimba tournament in the eastern region. Once just a group of youth playing casually in their village, Eco Spiders have now climbed to the 3rd position on the FKF County League table and are aiming to finish top this season. The Tujiamini initiative is Sport Pesa's community-centered initiative to support talent and grassroots project in Kenya at an annual budget of 30 million Kenya shillings.
Sai kuna ile mentality iko tunacheza county league. Unaona? Juu tuko na ile support hawahim ni kucheza next time regional, division 2, division 1, NSL. Na Mungu akiwa mbele hata premier tunaweza panda.
Tuliingia county league, tumecheza vizuri. Saa hii tuko number 3 na matarajio yetu tunataka kuwa number 1.
Kitambo tulikuwa tunacheza ile mpira tu ya village, mpira haina protocol, mpira haina procedure, lakini for now ofisi ni imara. Tumeweza kupata professional football ile ambayo vijana wetu wanacheza, na ndio maana tumequalify kuingia county league.
Leo tuko hapa Maua to do a follow-up story on one of our beneficiary teams, Eco Spiders, that benefited in the 2024 Tujiamini edition. And I would say this is a success story, seeing them rise from leagues and now playing in the county FKF league at number 3. That is so delightful.
I was just informing my news director that it's not Iku, we say Eco. Elsewhere, Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal held Spanish giants Real Madrid to a 1-1 draw at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami in the opening Group H match of the ongoing 2025 FIFA Club World Cup. Al Hilal finished the match with a well-deserved point thanks to Yassine Bonu, who saved a penalty by Federico Valverde in the 2nd minute of stoppage time after they were awarded a penalty following a VAR review. Real Madrid had taken the lead in the 34th minute through Gonzalo Garcia before it was cancelled 7 minutes later by former Wolves midfielder Ruben Neves via a penalty after a foul by Raul Asensio. RB, or Red Bull Salzburg, overcame Pachuca 2-1 in another Group H clash at Manchester City, kicked off their campaign with a 2-0 win over Wydad Casablanca of Morocco in the Group G match marred by Rico Lewis' late red card. Phil Foden opened the scoring after 2 minutes at the Lincoln Financial Field after a good combination with Jeremy Doku. The pair combined again just before halftime to double their advantage, with the Belgian converting a corner that was swung in from the right. There was some drama as the clock ticked down while Lewis caught Samuel Obeng in the face with a stray boot and was given the matching orders.
Field after a good combination with Jeremy Doku.
Keeper and Phil Foden is in to score.
And that report from the expanded FIFA Club World Cup, which is facing a number of challenges, including apathy, That takes us to the tail end of this broadcast. Many thanks indeed for joining us for this news, plus much more as we receive them. Kindly don't forget to check out our social media spaces, including our KBC digital app. My name is Njue. My colleague has been Lucy Mwaura on the sign language interpretation. Let's do this some other time. On behalf of everyone who has made this broadcast a success, including my news director, Jackie Wasolo, I say do have yourself a blessed afternoon.
"19 nations will compete in the Total Energies CAF African Nations Championship, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania 2024, which will be staged from 2nd to 30th August 2025. Amongst the 4 groups in the tournament A to D, Kenya is pooled in Group A, together with Morocco, Angola, DR Congo and Zambia.
Algeria from the set piece, the header is on target, but it's...
This unique competition, featuring the best locally based players from across the continent, definitely has something for everyone. Just bring your A game as you let it flow live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
In a groundbreaking medical milestone, doctors at the Kenyatta National Hospital successfully performed a complex surgery to restore nerve functions in an amputated arm, known as transhumeral targeted sensory reinversion, that is TSR, the procedure that involves rerouting nerves from the amputated limb to nearby skin in order to restore sensation. We take you behind the scenes of the scientific research led by a team of Kenyan doctors who made history by performing the first ever TSR procedure on an arm, an innovation shown to reduce phantom limb pain and enhance the sensation of touch and movement in the missing limb. In this episode, we also get to learn new terms like transhumeral targeted sensory reinversion, that is TSR, and phantom limb pain, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Health and Lifestyle, your weekly health show that brings you expert advice and lived experience. My name is Marie Yambo at KBC Channel 1 on X, and KBC Channel 1 TV on Facebook is where you can interact with us. Coming up in the program,
walinifanyia x-ray, daktari ndiye akakuja na hiyo form ya kwenda theater. Nilipasuliwa mkono. Nilipasuliwa mpaka hapa.
A software engineer student loses arm after a fall.
We kind of sacrifice a nerve of a big area, but which has small representation in the brain, and replace it with a nerve that was going to a small area, that is maybe the hand, but with big representation in the brain.
And doctors who saved his life in a first ever performed surgery in the world. First First things first, on April 29, 2025, Moses Mwendwa became the first person worldwide to undergo transhumeral TSR procedure, a surgery that enables the patient to feel the sensations of an amputated limb. 22-year-old Moses Mwendwa underwent the life-saving amputation of his left hand following a devastating fall. In this story, Moses recounts not only the events of that tragic day, but also the ongoing psychological challenges he faces as he adapts to a completely new way of living. Let's take a listen. 22-year-old Moses Mwendwa stares blankly, his thoughts drifting between the life he once knew and the one he now has to build from scratch. In January 2025, Moses suffered a severe fall at his church.
Nilisikia tu uchungu kidogo. Kusikia tu uchungu nikaasium. Kwa asium mahali kafika nikasikia nikakuwa tu ile niko sawa tu but mkono iko na some pain. Siwe nikamwambia tu mama mkono inaniuma tu na mama kaniambia utaenda hapo kwa chemistry upatiwe dawa za painkiller. Nikaenda nikapatiwa. After nikikaka mkono ikaanza tu kufura tu polepole, inafura tu. Ikaendelea on Tuesday the same thing ikaendelea but inaendelea na iko na uchungu. After that ikafika on Wednesday ili kujaribu kuinua hiyo mkono inakuwa mzito. Ikakuwa uchungu sana. Mama ndiye akanitumia pesa. Nikaenda nikashika line Mama Lucy. Tukaenda tukapigwa x-ray.
What initially seemed like a painful injury quickly turned into a life-altering crisis.
Saturday mkono ikakuwa ishafura kabisa. Imefura kabisa as inauma tu. Lakini imefura. Mungu akanichukua ndiye akanipeleka Kenyatta. Walinifanyia x-ray. Daktari ndiye akakuja na hiyo form ya kwenda theater. Nilipasuliwa mkono. Nilipasuliwa mpaka hapa.
An infection set in following the injury, aggressively damaging tissue in his left arm.
Mkono ikaanza kuturn black. Hizi vidole zilikufa fast, but hizi mbili zilibaki kwanza. Nilikuwa naweza kujaribu kuzimovisha. Tukakaa. Daktari wanakuja tu, tunashinda naona, wanaangalia mkono. Hakuna kichote. Mkono ile ikaanza ilikuwa hapa black kabisa. Hizo zote zilikuwa black. Ikaanza kurudi na back. Nikatolewa Kenyatta. Nikapelekwa another hospital kupigwa x-ray nyingine. Kupigwa ile x-ray nyingine nilisikia daktari akisema vein haiko moja. Vein ile ina supply damu haiko. Wakakuwa wakiongeleshana tu hapo wakasema hiyo mkono ina kitu kingine itabidi ikatwe.
Despite the best efforts of doctors, they were forced to make a heart-wrenching decision to amputate the limb above the elbow.
Mimi sikutaka kuonyesha ati nimesikia anything, nilinyamaza tu. Mtu niliambia ni sister yangu ambaye tulikuwa naye karibu. Nikamwambia nimesikia umesema. Nikamwambia nimesikia akisema vein iko. Azini na transfer nini damu kwa mkono haiko, isha already imekatwa. Stangu hakuelewa anything. Nikanyamaza and then nikaambia mama, nasikia madaktari wakisema vein haiko, ina supply damu kwa mkono, ndio mkono unaona inakufa hivi. Nikauliza mama, mimi nakata mkono. Mama kaniambia ukatwe.
The surgery, a complex transhumeral total shoulder replacement TSR, the first of its kind performed in the country, made news headlines as a medical achievement. But for Moses, the loss of his arm has been emotionally and psychologically devastating.
Kwenda theater mimi nilienda vizuri. After that kutoka bado nilikuwa najua niko na mkono. The next day nikiamka nilipata sina mkono. Tulifurugana na madaktari. Mimi nilikuwa nauliza mkono wangu iko wapi because mimi nilijua nilala na mkono. Kuamka napata sina mkono.
Sasa mimi kwenda sasa ile nilikuwa hapa ndio nikaona mkono hakuna. Mimi hata sijui nilitoka. Nilisikia uchungu na nikaanza kulia.
A software engineer student, the left hand had always been his dominant one, his trusted tool for coding, typing, and everything in his digital world.
Nilikuwa na project mingi mpaka sasa hizi zingine niko nazo tu kwa kitabu naangalia nashindwa hizi za nini nilikuwa tu nazo because yeye hakuna kitu zinazosaidia. Mimi nasema imenirudisha nyuma kabisa, kwa sasa hakuna kitu naweza jifanyia because right ni ngumu sana kwa kutumia because nafika mahali nachoka kuitumia.
Now, even basic tasks like getting dressed or eating requires effort.
Sometimes mama yuko kwa nyumba. Isile niko peke yangu. Natamani kujipikia, siwezi jipikia. Inabidi nakaa tu njaa na ngoja mama toke job. Hakuna kitu mimi naweza jifanyia tu, nimekuwa mtoto mdogo kabisa. Because hakuna anything naweza fanya. Hata nikitumia simu, hiyo simu nachoka mkono, inabidi sana niweke simu kwa mattress ndio niscroll nikiwa tu chini.
His mother's hopes that one day he would lift them from poverty seemingly dashed.
Sasa nilikuwa nafikiria sasa ndio mtoto wangu kwanza. Na alikuwa ameenda makozi tu wakati alimaliza shule, kwa sababu sikuwa na pesa wakati niweza kumpeleka shule university. Nilimpeleka tuko hapa karibu. Kwa ametengeneza kozi mingi. Hii ya kutengeneza sabuni, nanunua sabuni anakoroka anauza. Tuko tunaweka hapo nje tu, sinaendea hapo nje. Hata mama wengi hapa alikuwa anawafundisha.
The family's financial situation makes the path ahead even more daunting. A state-of-the-art prosthetic arm equipped with the neural sensors and mobility Moses would need costs upwards of 3 million shillings, a sum that is unimaginably out of reach for them.
Kuna mkono ya 95,000 ambayo ni ya kubalance tu mwili. Ndio sometimes mwili pia kuna saa mimi naweza kaa nianguke na hii side. Uzito inaenda na hii side. Sasa kuna hiyo kubalance tu mwili but hakuna kitu inafanya. The second one inatoka to 50,000. Hiyo ambayo ina move dole tu mbili peke yake, hizi peke yake ndio zina sense. The third one inatoka 3.4 million. Ambayo inafanya kazi yote but haifanyi kazi mzito na plus zote hazifai kushika maji. Hiyo ndio challenge iko na hizo mkono.
A crowdfunding campaign has been launched by his family to help Moses raise the money for the prosthetic that could give him back some semblance of independence.
Mimi ningeambia tu watazamaji kama kuna uwezo mtu anaweza nisaidia hapa nje, mimi naweza kushukuru sana, kwa maana kukaa bila mkono mmoja si rahisi. Tena ni kitu inakuuma, ukiangalia watu wengine wakifanya mambo yao, huwezi fanya huko tu. Unatamani kila saa ni unafuata wanakufanyia hiyo wanakufanyia hii. Mimi naweza tamani kama kuna mtu anaweza nisaidia hapa nje, anisaidie tu. Sasa hii ni pesa tu. Ukiangalia mamangu ni mtu wa vibarua, ile kidogo anapata ndiye anatuletea. Sasa kusema kwa mkono itakuwa kazi nyingine tu tena ngumu, itakuwa stress kwake, kwa maana ndio niko naye peke yake. Na plus kuna mandugu wangu wengine bado wanasoma.
Mimi nasema mwenye ataniona waone mtoto wangu. Kama kuna mtu akona roho tu akiniwekea hiyo mikono, akinimwekea hiyo mkono, au nipate pesa naweza kuwekea hiyo mkono, naweza kufurahia sana. Ndio na yeye aanza maisha yake.
Thank you, Moses, for sharing your story. We do wish Moses a smooth and full recovery. Thanks to his courage, 9 other patients now have the opportunity to benefit from the new era in neural rehabilitation. And so on that note, we come to our first break of the show. I'll be back with much more. Stay with us.
They say the earth without art would just be get it? We circumnavigate the globe and traverse the local scene to bring you art and culture at their very best. From fine art, culinary art, performing arts, and even cultural events, you name it, and we have got you covered. My name is Kevin Kasioki, and I will be serving you this and much, much more each and every Friday at 8 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Nimeua mtu kweli?
Haujaua.
Alafu basi nipeleke pole pole. Wacha niongee na huyu. Lakini unapatanga advertisement, si ndio?
Sasa advertisement ikitokea kama haoni atajuaje?
Please, I'm not asking you. I'm asking you here. Why do you vacuum people in the store? Which? The English now is coming out. 50,000 pocket money. Mtoto ende jaribu.
Hiyo ni kama sini change kidogo, pesa kidogo ambayo naweza.
Umesikia market that kwa.
Thank you for staying with us. An over 7-hour surgery. A 10 multidisciplinary team of surgeons and nurses is what it took to enable Moses to feel sensation at the stump of his missing left hand after amputation. Dr. Benjamin Wabire, head of plastic and reconstructive surgery at the Kenyatta National Hospital, explains the details of the procedure.
We performed what we may call a rerouting or redirecting nerves of an amputated part of the hand to the stump, the skin covering the stump, so that the patient could actually feel by touching their own skin that very part that had been amputated or was missing, rather than them feeling it in the abstract where they just feel it, but they can't see it, they can't touch it.
What are some of those injuries that can lead to somebody losing a limb?
The most common, especially for young people, is injuries. You can get infections, like people who have diabetes, or in the older people, you can have people with cancers or tumorous growths.
So somebody might want to really understand, like, maybe the medical term is maybe what I might not be able to get, but before you were doing the amputation right at the area of the elbow, but what's the difference between that and this particular innovation?
It just involves cutting off what is dead or what is affected and leaving behind what is living or what is safe to leave behind. So that will mean like cutting the muscles, cutting them off. You cut off the nerves that are going further than where you are cutting, and the bones as well.
So I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the phantom limb pain. You know, it's already been cut. So why would someone still feel that pain? Maybe you could elaborate for us, how does this sensation work?
So the memory areas which had registered, for example, your hand or your leg, doesn't go away because you've cut it off. It stays. And because the nerves, or rather now the cables that are going to that hand or the leg are still there, they will still kind of send messages to that memory center or to that disk. And the brain will remind you once that message registers. And that can be made to happen by slight movement, even changes in the environment. If it gets hot, it gets cold, or if you are wearing a cloth, it brushes on the stump. Instead of you feeling the brushing, because those nerves or those cables are just sitting there, they will pick different sorts of interpretation. They may pick pain, they may pick pressure, like you are being pressed. They may pick maybe a pinch or a prick, or they may pick something hot or cold.